Crystal Eastman was born in Marlborough, Massachusetts on June 25, 1881. It was a small town with a flourishing shoe business. Shortly after her birth, her family moved to Elmira, New York. There, her mother Annis became the first woman minister. Alongside her father Samuel, they preached sermons at Thomas Beecher's Congregationalist Church. When Crystal grew up, she moved with her brother Max to Greenwich Village. Max and Crystal were both highly influenced by the progressive ideas of their time. They were both socialist activists and lived on 11th Street with other radical youths, including Floyd Dell, Inez Milholland, and Doris Stevens. Together, Crystal and Max created The Liberator, a socialist magazine that offered radical political theories. It also included art, poetry, and fiction. Crystal Eastman graduated from Vassar College in 1903. She went on to get her M.A. in sociology at Columbia University in 1904. In 1907, she continued her academic career at New York University Law School and gained her law degree while graduating second in her class. After completing her academic career, she worked for the Pittsburgh Survey under Paul Kellogg. This association was sponsored by the Russell Sage Foundation. Her report, Work Accidents and the Law, exemplified her hard work and determination. This detailed piece sparked the rest of her career as a feminist lawyer. Soon after her publication, she drafted the first workers' compensation law while serving on the New York State Commission. Eastman began working as an attorney for the U.S. Commission on Industrial Relations. She worked during Woodrow Wilson's presidency and began to be recognized for her hard work, free-love idealism, and direct nature. The U.S. Commission on Industrial Relations made reports on people working 20 hours for 20 cents. This commission was working towards replacing the oppressive industrial feudalism that had taken hold of America's forgotten democracy. A brief marriage led Eastman to Wisconsin. There, she participated in the fight for women's suffrage. She helped organize a referendum, but it was repeatedly voted down. However, 7 years later, the tide turned and Wisconsin voted yes to women's suffrage. Crystal returned to her home where she met Alice Paul. They co-founded the National Women's Party. This party targeted the White House and Congress through a revolutionary strategy of dramatic, nonviolent protests. The NWP created the Equal Rights Amendment in the 1920s, which was not passed until 1972 by Congress. Today, the NWP works on an international women's rights scale, specializing in the labor issues in Puerto Rico and Cuba. Eastman also co-founded the Women's League for Peace and Freedom. It was an anti-militarist group that protested World War I. It is the oldest existent women's peace organization today. She participated in nonviolent protests. Today, the WLPF is also working on an international scale. They connect with women in the Middle East that are struggling for protection and work with the UN to enact change for the peace and security of women. Shortly after her work with the Women's League for Peace and Freedom, Eastman co-founded another reformist group called the American Union Against Militarism. Through publications, lobbying, and many lecture campaigns, they helped avert war with Mexico in 1916. This organization later became the American Civil Liberties Union, which works today in courts, legislators, and communities to defend the individual rights and liberties of American citizens. During the Gilded Age, women were completely shut out of politics. Women were to stay at home, cook, clean, and take care of the children. For the small percentage of women that had jobs, they were given low wages, long hours, and no option for dispute. Howard Zinn, an established historian and social activist, voiced his opinion on the Gilded Age, which is exemplified by Crystal Eastman's life. Although she did popularize women's rights issues, she did not make real change in the everyday lives of women. Much of her work was focused on labor issues, which illustrated the class pyramid that the wealthy secured. Eastman did not change the perception of women or the role they were expected to play in society. It has become more evident through the decades, long after Eastman passed in 1928, that women's rights and roles are still issues. These 1950s ads are proof that, although Eastman got the ball rolling, she did not impact women in society in a significant way. Today, the world is still challenged by this idea of equality for women. However, it has improved since the Gilded Age, and the perception of women is still evolving.